Hello, my name is Pooja and welcome to this week's fresh episode of Around the World. The year 2022 is proving to be quite hectic for the Middle Eastern countries. For the past several years, this region has been facing various issues like border disputes, extremist violence, and communal tensions, due to which issues like social welfare, security, and peace have gained prominence in the conflict-ridden region. Recently, an interesting incident happened in the Middle East. The enmity that has been going on since decades between Iran, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia seems to be ending now. Recently, Iraq's Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi visited Iran and Saudi Arabia. On the first leg of his visit, he visited Saudi Arabia, where he discussed bilateral relations and cooperation with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud. Later on, he visited Iran and held talks with the President Ebrahim Raisi in Tehran. During the visit, he mainly focused on restoring diplomatic relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia so as to maintain regional stability. Kadhimi is attempting a Herculean task of mediating between the two staunchest adversaries of the Middle East. It is noteworthy that there have been no diplomatic relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia since 2016. Iraq has also hosted 4 rounds of regional talks between them in 2021 for reducing regional tensions. The 5th round of talks between both the countries concluded in April 2022. Against this backdrop, several questions arise, and by going through these questions, we will try to understand the complexities of the Middle East. We will also discuss about the probable solutions, but before going through all the nuances of this issue, first let us know about these countries. Iran, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia are Muslim countries of the Gulf region. Saudi Arabia is a Sunni-dominated country, while Iran and Iraq are Shia-dominated countries. Looking at the world map, we find that Iran lies to the east of Iraq, while Saudi Arabia lies to the south of Iraq. Iran is a mountainous country in West Asia and located to the south of the Caspian Sea and north of Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman. It shares borders with Armenia and Azerbaijan to the northwest, Turkmenistan to the northeast, Afghanistan and Pakistan to the east, and Iraq and Turkey to the west. Iraq is bordered by Iran in the east, Kuwait in the southeast, Turkey in the north, Syria in the west, Jordan in the southwest, and Saudi Arabia in the south. Saudi Arabia is a desert country in West Asia which is surrounded by 8 countries. It is bordered by Jordan to the northwest, Iraq to the north and northeast, Kuwait, Qatar and Bahrain, and United Arab Emirates to the east, Oman to the southeast, and Yemen to the south. The Persian Gulf runs along its northeast borders and the Red Sea along its western borders. Saudi Arabia is the land of Mecca and Medina, the 2 holy sites of the Muslim country. It is one of the regional powers of the Arab world. Looking at the map, it can be said that Iraq is like a natural bridge between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and these days it is also trying to act like a bridge in the strategic relationship between the 2 countries. Now, let us try to understand the relationship between the 3 countries. The US previously viewed the Middle East as a bipolar system with Iran on one side and Saudi Arabia on the other side. Also, for the purpose of establishing hegemony in the region, conflicts were seen between Iran, Iraq, and Saudi for many years. While Saudi Arabia considers itself as the leader of the Muslim world, its leadership was challenged when the 1979 Iranian Islamic Revolution took place. Both Saudi Arabia and Iran have always tried to dent each other's dominance throughout Central Asia, thus becoming adversaries in the process. The relationship between them deteriorated further when Saudi Arabia hanged a Shia religious leader, Sheikh Al-Namr, in 2016. As a result, protests were organized against Saudi Arabia in Iran. The Saudi embassy in Tehran was vandalized by the protesters and the embassy building was set on fire. After this incident, Saudi Arabia severed its diplomatic ties with Iran. As far as relations between Iran and Iraq are concerned, they also were opponents to each other at a time. Saddam Hussein, who served as the president of Iraq from 1979 to 2003, is held responsible for Iraq's enmity with Iran. Saddam was feeling threatened by the Islamic Revolution in Iran. Ayatollah Khomeini came to power in 1979 due to the Islamic Revolution. Khomeini considered Saddam to be a cruel Sunni ruler who oppressed Iraq's Shia community. There are about 51% Shia Muslims and 42% Sunni Muslims in Iraq. The Shia majority of Iraq was marginalized during Saddam Hussein's rule. Hence, both Khomeini and Saddam Hussein conspired to overthrow each other from power. Meanwhile, Saddam Hussein attacked Iran in 1980. Millions of lives were lost and trade suffered due to this war that lasted for nearly 8 years. In this war, the Gulf countries and Western countries also played a role in different ways. While Israel, a Jewish country, supported Iran, Western countries like the US, UK, and France supported Iraq by supplying weapons. The US was also sharing its intelligence with Iraq. However, the US proved to be treacherous for Iraq. When the Iran-Contra scandal came to the fore, it was revealed that the US was also secretly supplying weapons to Iran. Since then, the relations between the US and Iraq started getting sour. Later, tensions between both the countries escalated so much that the US even attacked Iraq. During the US invasion of Iraq, the Sunni population of Iraq was fighting against the US while the Shia population was fighting alongside the US. Saddam Hussein was ousted from power and Iraqi Shia population was getting powerful again. However, the US action broke the trust of these countries in the West. In such a scenario, these countries now started trusting their neighbors only. Thereby, the relations between Iraq and Iran started improving after the US invasion of Iraq. Recently, Saudi Arabia's tone towards Iran has also softened. Iraq is also striving hard to bring Saudi Arabia and Iran closer. Iraq is doing so for several reasons. For the past few years, Iraq has been adopting a new aligned foreign policy. It intends to maintain a balanced relationship between both Saudi Arabia and Iran. As a part of this plan, Iraq's ministers frequently go to official visits to both Saudi Arabia and Iran these days. Iraq's motives behind these visits is quite clear. Several officials of Iraq have acknowledged the fact that Iraq's interests lie in improving Iran-Saudi relations. If this happens, then peace will be restored in the Gulf region, and it will undoubtedly lead to peace in Iraq as well. Moreover, Saudi Arabia also has its reasons for improving relations with Iran. The first reason is related to regional concerns ranging from the Yemen civil war to the Israel-Palestinian issue. Since the Houthi rebels in Yemen are supported by Iran, while the military coalition government in Yemen is supported by Saudi Arabia, it is viewed as a proxy war between both the countries. The US has distanced itself from the Yemen civil war, and the US criticizes Saudi Arabia, terming its involvement in the Yemen civil war a violation against human rights. Saudi Arabia has concerns of its own which are directly related to the Yemen civil war. It fears that these rebel groups may attack Saudi cities with drones and missiles. Saudi Arabia needs Iran's support on the issue. Moreover, with the improvement in relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia, these countries will also be able to deal with the Israel-Palestinian issue in a reasonable manner. The second reason is that changing policies of the US towards the Middle East, US President Joe Biden had made it clear in his election agenda that he would withdraw the US troops from the region. He had also reiterated that he will no longer support Saudi Arabia in the Yemen war and will reinstate the nuclear deal with Iran. In such a scenario, Saudi Arabia also does not want to lag behind in improving its relations with Iran, despite its opposition to Iran's nuclear program. Iran's nuclear program has forced its regional adversaries to join hands together. For this reason, the Sunni countries of the Gulf region are increasing their proximity with Israel. Iran knows that if any kind of anti-Iranian organization is formed, then it will not only threaten its regional security but also lead to huge economic and strategic losses. Hence, it will be interesting to see how the relations between these countries, especially Iran and Saudi Arabia, will materialize in the future. That's all for this episode. See you again with another important international issue in a fresh episode of Around the World. Let us look at our question. Iraq is playing the role of a mediator in mending Saudi-Iran relations. Evaluate.